Good day, class. My name is Khalifa Latine, and I did my geography in my backyard project at the Government Canyon State Park. This picture is just so beautiful. I had to make it as my cover picture here. And as I continue in my presentation, I will be discussing topics of processes like rock erosion, chemical weathering. I did see quite a bit of layers, as you can see in this picture. We'll talk about that a little further down in the presentation. It was just a beautiful time in the park. So I just kind of want to get started with my stats. And if you can see here, I used AllTrails. It was pretty long hike. I actually took my entire family on this hike, and so I'm really excited to show my results. It was about 6.3 miles together. I went from the beginning of the trail to the end of the trail was about 3.1 mile or so. I realized that there was quite a bit of elevation. There was a lot of ups and downs, but it looked like we were going up quite a bit. So as you see here, my elevation gain was about 210 feet. And it took about 3 hours. Again, I had, a baby, my daughter, and my fiance with me. So it probably took a little bit longer than I anticipated, but it really was worth it. At the bottom here, next one, you're going to see the trailhead. This is a picture of me. Yeah, it was really hot outside as well. But this is the trailhead. It was a pretty big park as well. As you can see in the picture here on the right, the first thing I saw, was actually the trailway, and this is actually one of the smoothest parts of the entire track. What I noticed was there was a bit of rock erosion. There's rock erosion everywhere. As throughout the entire trail, there was rock erosion. I didn't even know which pictures to choose because there were so many pictures and so many examples of rock erosion, and you're going to be able to see that throughout this presentation as well. Okay, now one of the things with doing rock erosion and weathering is that weathering erosion is pretty much any type of surface process like that rainwater or wind would end up moving a rock that it consists of rock erosion. And so again, the trail that I was on, I saw there was a terrain that was sometimes higher and lower than others. Again, this is the picture that I started off with. It started off pretty smooth, and as you see in this picture right here, it started to get more rocky and rockier. Over time, you can tell that this rock here, these rocks look about like it was probably one bigger rock, and it broken up and broke down in different and scattered throughout the ground. And so that was really interesting to see the different pieces just scattered all over. And I'm sure over time, probably thousands of years, not sure how long, but over time with wind and all the rain, that kind of moved and scattered all the rocks. Next, I did see some evidence of biotic weathering. I know weathering is such a wide topic that there's different aspects of weathering, and in this picture I wanted to highlight the biotic weathering, and that's basically when any living organisms, it could be animals or plants, that grow in between the cracks of the rock that can cause the rock to break down over time. And as you can see here, there's grass growing in between. There's some cracks here all throughout the rock. You can also see there's some sediments of some rocks here as well, and you can tell over time that this rock chipped away, and so these are the pieces that it kind of left behind. And this of course could be one of the evidence that I saw was the grass growing through the rocks. Again, some more weathering and rock erosion. Now, coming down to the end of the trail, yes, this is 3 miles later. I'm smiling, but it was really hot. And again, this was after a lot of rainfall. So if you can see the ground right behind me, you can see that there is some water there, and basically that water is really from the rainfall. So I would consider this more of an ephemeral stream where it pretty much has water mostly when it rains. Now what I'm pointing at here, and it was really cool, I just have to highlight that I just have to highlight that we went to see the dinosaur tracks. My daughter was super excited, and this was just very interesting to me that I saw pretty much all different types of weathering in this one area. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight in this picture was this was a huge boulder rock. So specifically what I've noticed is that this was probably a really huge rock that broke apart, maybe falling and from all the weathering. Again, rainfall over time, probably wind. I mean, this is so, it has to be more so water that caused this rock to kind of break apart as well over time. There's trees around it. There's also cracks in between this rock here and some plants growing from it as well. So again, that's even causing this rock to then break apart. I'm pretty sure years down the line we might even see this rock split apart and kind of scatter around. All right, and so in this picture you just see a little bit a better picture of the water that's settled here after rain. And these are some of the dinosaur tracks. This is one here, one right here. As I go down, you're gonna see some more. This was so cool. So another track here and another track right here. And again, that's that same rock, and I believe that it just broken up and kind of just scattered around. So that is more mechanical weathering that we're looking at. Okay, now in this one, again, biotic weathering, where there's grass growing in between the cracks of this rock. All right, now this is the most exciting part of my presentation because I have never seen layers of rock, which we would call bedding of sedimentary rock. I've never experienced seeing this as far as layers of rocks on top of each other. As you can see, there's different colors in it as well. So the darker the color, then we know there's biotic organisms, living organisms that died and kind of decayed over time, and that's causing that darker color. And here these layers is just so beautiful. I was so excited to see that I got that close to it, to see those layers of those rocks there. Here you can see the layers a little bit more. This just kind of look like pancakes on top of each other, even like a croissant layers. It's just interesting to see how this is formed over time. This is a beautiful picture of the canyon. As you can see, I just had to include this picture as well. Again, more layers here. As you can see, there's cracks and fissures in the rock. That of course there's probably animals living in there as well. It's big enough to possibly be animals living in there. But as you can see, as you go down, the rock gets lighter. Again, all of this is from organic decay. My daughter's really excited to see those dinosaur tracks. There's a few more here. And I wanted to also point out, as you can see here in the background, there's a big boulder here, some rocks here. This is definitely evidence that this broke off of the bigger rock, also showing physical weathering, physical or mechanical weathering, that the rocks probably broke off of this bigger rock up here. It's closer look at the dinosaur tracks. Now, if you can see in this picture, there's a lot of evidence here of chemical weathering. And with chemical weathering, it's basically the difference between the rock erosion and the chemical weathering. Is that the chemical weathering is everything is in one place, meaning that over time this rock is pretty much stationary there, right? It looks more like ground, and it is ground, but over time you can see that there's a lot of dentures and layers and chips in the rock, and this is from, of course, rainfall over time that has kind of decayed, is having a little bit of decay on the rock, even here, as you can see on the edges as well of chemical weathering. Now, this was also interesting for me to find sort of like a pathway for water. And so some water, I'm sure after it rained, some water was getting down here. And there's evidence of that because it's also lighter here. Now, you see this goldish brown. It's possibly some oxidation going on here when the water mixes with the chemical reaction. So I see that there. That was very interesting. You can see a big part of the rock here was broken off. And if you can also see, there's a tree growing from the rock here on the left side, growing through that. It's possible that the roots that's embedded in the rock caused this part of the rock to break off. Now, another name for the rock layers is a strata, and so those layers are called rock beds. And that's really when deposition happens as well from the higher rock on top. That's when layers of rock just keep bedding on each other. And here, this is a closer picture of the tree growing from the rock. All right, and that is all. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the geography in the backyard project. And again, we covered rock erosion, weathering, both chemical and physical, and we also saw some rock layers and strata. Thank you.